What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Dogmatic Sports. Today we are going to be discussing the week that we just had in college football. Obviously, we had a week 0 that saw Florida State go down to Georgia Tech. That's why I listed Florida State as one of my biggest losers for week 1. That also got changed again last night when they lost to Boston College, which I predicted. I picked Boston College to win that game, put my money where my mouth was, came out like a bandit. But Florida State now moves to 0-2, and I think their season is just over. I think, even if they do manage to pull off a couple upsets this year, I don't think there's much of a chance of them making it into the top 12 at the end of the season. Unless they win the ACC somehow, I don't see them making the college football playoffs. That's just... And I don't think that they will go, 10-2. And I think that'd be the only way that they could make the college football playoffs. There were a lot of stinkers throughout the week. Obviously, a bunch of blowouts. It's opening week. Got to get a tune-up game in. NC State. That game took a surprisingly long time for NC State to actually run away with. In the fourth quarter, I believe West Carolina was still up. So a lot of questions there for me with NC State. Not really certain what the overall plan is. I mean, Grayson McCall comes in. He was a great quarterback for Coastal Carolina last year. But now, he threw for 3 touchdowns, but it doesn't really matter if you're struggling to put away teams like Western Carolina. Obviously, their receiver had a monster game. The majority of McCall's plays ran through Conception. Maybe it's just a learning pain, and they'll right the ship this weekend. But I don't think so. I think it's going to be a big win, a big struggle for NC State this year. Still contenders for the ACC, just because of how bad of a week the ACC had outside of Miami. But it's a rough one. Oklahoma blew out Temple. Here we go. Here's the Saturday games. So we got Georgia-Clemson. Georgia took Clemson out back behind the shed and just blew them away. It was not a close football game. I would say in terms of like a pedigree standpoint, it is hard to find a harder shellacking than what Georgia did to Clemson. Clemson looked like they didn't understand what football was. It was like you took a team from 1926 and brought them into the Georgia Dome and said, okay, play number 1 Georgia. Cade Klubnik looks like he shouldn't be playing quarterback for a Power 5 college, much less one that has championship aspirations like Clemson. I know Dabo does not do the transfer portal, but I think this offseason he's going to have to at least look for a quarterback that can come in and actually do something, because I'm certain there's talent on this roster. It doesn't feel like it's being actually used at the moment. Ohio State smashed Akron. Oregon and Idaho was close, and I don't really understand how it was that close. Dylan Gabriel put up insane stat totals, but they only scored 14 points before the fourth quarter. I'm not really sure that is a good indicator for Oregon's season. They moved into the Big Ten. It's going to be a lot harder to score on these defenses in the Big Ten. I can definitely see a world where Oregon gets beat 2 to 3 times this season if they can't finish drives and get points on the board. Ohio State has a monster roster, so that's there. Iowa, in the first half it didn't really, but the second half it looked like they actually figured out how to score points. And then Penn State surprised me and absolutely took it to West Virginia this week. So, Oregon's going to have a lot of contenders, and not to mention the guys that came with them to the Big Ten. Like USC took out an SEC opponent. The road is tough for Oregon if this is how they look against Idaho. Texas blows out Colorado State. Alabama blows out Western Kentucky. Ole Miss blows out Furman. This Notre Dame game 100% showed me that Texas A&M's quarterback is not the guy. Connor Weigman is just not a championship caliber quarterback in the SEC. The Texas A&M's gonna have to get a new quarterback. I feel like the coach should have tried to bring Riley Leonard with him to Texas A&M. The guy who beat him the quarterback for Notre Dame played for the Texas A&M's current coach last year, and they did really good. They beat Clemson. They shocked the world, and now Riley Leonard's at Notre Dame, and he took out a top 20 team on the road with 100,000 people in attendance. Now, I don't really think that Riley Leonard played very well. I think you could obviously see his struggles, but at the end of the day, they got a double-digit win on the road against an SEC opponent. That's something that's hard to do. So I can definitely see Notre Dame after this, finding a way to get into the college football playoffs at the end of the season. I don't think they'll be a high seed. I would say, they might be one of those last two win, number 10, number 11. But I can definitely see them with this win on their belt. I can see them absolutely making their way in. Penn State, West Virginia. I thought Penn State was going to be on upset watch. I thought that West Virginia at home, it's an old rivalry. I thought that they could show up and do something, but that end of half that West Virginia had against Penn State, where West Virginia, I think, punted with 30-something seconds left. Penn State ran one play for 6 yards and then threw a 60-yard pass to set up another touchdown before the half. So instead of going into the half 6-14, it was 6-20. It was unbelievable. And then from there, it just went off the rails. I was very disappointed by how Michigan played against Fresno State this week. I thought Michigan was going to come in, chip on their shoulder with all the allegations in the offseason, everybody saying that it's over, and they were going to just pound it to Fresno State. But, Fresno was in that game until less than 6 minutes to go. It was, I want to say it was 10-17 with 8 minutes left in the game. It's just you can't have that against Michigan. If you're Michigan, you just can't do that. I don't really agree with the quarterback choice that they went with. I don't think that they should have started I don't think they should have the quarterback starting. They should. I think they should just go with Orji and lean into that read option, throw the ball downfield type offense. Because, putting the guy in there that right now, they say he's a better passer, but it obviously wasn't amounting to anything against Fresno State. So what is that going to do against Penn State, against Ohio State? It's going to be a tough sled the whole year for Michigan. I expect Michigan to drop heavily throughout the season. 3 or 4 losses, more than likely. Tennessee went up huge on Chattanooga. Oklahoma State had a little bit of a battle against South Dakota State, but it wasn't really. Once the third quarter hit, it was over. Kansas State put away UT Martin. Miami dog walked Florida. They went into the swamp, turned the Gators into a pair of shoes, and then waded in them all the way back to Miami. Ward absolutely looks like the quarterback that I thought he could be at Washington State last year. Honestly, might be on the Heisman watch now. I look at Miami to be the favorites in the ACC going forward. Unless Clemson can heavily turn things around, or a team like Louisville or Georgia Tech or NC State, maybe they can come out as dark horses and upset Miami. But other than that, I see Miami blowing through the ACC for the rest of the season. Arizona had a tight one against New Mexico for a while. It was an impressive game. It was just a back and forth chess match, slugger match. I don't know. There was just like every 3 plays, it felt like there was a touchdown for the first half. Noah Fafita looks good. McMillan as an absolute monster. There's not much to say other than Arizona's coming for the Big 12 championship this year. Iowa 6 points at the half, and then exploded in the second half. Maybe they have an offense. I want to see them against an actual opponent and not Illinois State. USC upsetting LSU was a big move for them. They seem like they have a little bit of swagger to them. Look like they're here to actually play. LSU, I mean, it looked like they were in the game, they were playing, but they just. I'm not sold on the LSU team yet. I can see them finishing. I see them finishing, somewhere between 14 and 20 in the rankings this season. Just outside the college football playoffs. And then obviously we talked about Boston College beating Florida State again. Florida State still looking like they don't understand how the downfield pass works. DJU looks like he can't complete a pass more than 5 yards down the field. It's just atrocious. Not pictured here. Boise State's running back had a great game against Georgia Southern. Really fun game to watch there, back and forth all the way through. Vanderbilt came up big against Virginia Tech, upsetting them in Nashville. Really, putting a stamp. They've got some moxie, honestly. The quarterback was the same quarterback that came out and beat Auburn with New Mexico last year. Now he's in the SEC playing quarterback. He's got some fire to him. I'm excited to see him play. Let's see if we can't look at this week's matchups. Okay. So obviously the big one this week is going to be the Texas-Michigan game. I am absolutely hammering Texas in this game after how Michigan looked last week. I'm taking the spread. Texas absolutely all the way. No questions about it. Let's see here. It's a nothing game. Penn State wins. Honestly, I've got Oklahoma State on upset alert this week. I think Arkansas could come in and take them out, put them out of the top 25 potentially. The spread's 7.5. I would probably, if I were betting this game, I'd probably take Arkansas straight up, just for the better odds, the better payout. Because if Arkansas does win, it's probably going to be if Arkansas loses, it'll probably be by more than 7. So you might as well, if you're going to bet Arkansas, just bet them to win. This could be an interesting game. I still think Kansas State wins. I'm just not really familiar with Tulane's game this season. But historically, they do have some decent players. There's always a chance they're that non-Power 5 champion in the playoffs this year. But I think Kansas State is just too much talent. Georgia Tech, Syracuse. Georgia Tech -3. I think Georgia Tech wins. I'm not really sure by how much. It's kind of a toss-up. Syracuse does have a new starting quarterback, but I think Georgia Tech with the Haynes crew is just going to be too much. That's not even a football game. That's not really a football game. Notre Dame should win that one handily. This is a sneaky little game here. Baylor's got a new quarterback that I would like to see in action. I think Utah does win. I just think Baylor keeps it close, at least towards the end. Iowa State, no idea if Iowa's as good as people say they are. I'd probably stay away from this game, but I do think Iowa wins. Let's see. Louisville takes this game all the way. Ole Miss should destroy Middle Tennessee. That's not even a football game. Although it could be sneakily close. I'll be honest. Last year they obviously gave us a little scare, but we're not benching Milroe this game like we did last year. I think Alabama, the Tide should roll. Missouri's going to destroy Buffalo. There's no question about that. Just a little side note here. I love Missouri's running back that they added, Peoples. I've been watching him in the Sun Belt, and last year in the Sun Belt, I think he's really good. I think he's going to have a really good season for Missouri this year. Kansas should beat Illinois if the talent that they have is real. Not even a football game. I've got Tennessee in this game all the way. I don't think NC State is as good as people say they are, and Tennessee looks explosive this year. No questions about it. LSU, it's not even a game. Oklahoma should crush Houston. I think Clemson might be on upset alert here with App State. I didn't actually know that they were playing App State this week. I like App State. I think they can... if Clemson overlooks App State, I think App State can absolutely come out with a win here. This is another one, Oregon. If they fail to score like they did last week, Boise State can beat them this game. Obviously, Boise State's running back put up 6 touchdowns and 267 yards. I think this game's going to be a lot closer than people give credit for. I think Oregon does win, but Boise's got a shot. That's not really a football game. Arizona should crush. And then, USA should absolutely destroy Utah State. So that's how I'm feeling this week for all the top 25 games. The main one I'm planning on watching is going to be the Texas-Michigan game, and then obviously this Arkansas game that I'm calling. This Baylor game should be fun watch, in my opinion. What else? This NC State game, absolutely watching that. And the App State game. Oh, and this one. So all of those. Those are like my 5 to 6 games that I will absolutely be tuning into this weekend. But I appreciate you guys coming out and giving me a listen. Feel free to stop by the website or my Twitter. I'll see you guys next time.